Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is David Wiley, and today we are back for another Poetry Thursday. So like last week, I'm pulling out my best poems of the English language, uh, selected by Harold Bloom. I opened to a random page, chose a later page in the volume rather than an earlier one like Dirge from last week, and it opened to Robert Browning. And this particular poem is very long, so I'm not going to read the entirety of it. But like last week, I'm going to kind of read the introduction to it and then read some of the poems so that you can get a flavor for it. If I can find a free full version of it online, I'll have that link down below so you can read the thing in its entirety. And some of you fantasy readers might sit up and take note when you hear the title of this poem. But before we get there, I'm going to read the introduction here. This nightmare poem, according to Browning, had no overt allegorical purpose, but the phantasmagoria is so powerful as to invite many allegorizings. W.C. Devane traced much of the landscape to one chapter of a book Browning had memorized as a boy, Gerard de Lasserre's The Art of Painting in All Its Branches. The chapter's title, Of Things Deformed and Broken, might be a motto to the poem. However, the poem is interpreted. Its universal appeal seems to center upon its vision of a willfully ruined quester, whose own strength of imagination has become a deforming and breaking agent, and who calls into question the meaningfulness of all premeditated human action. The relation of Childe Roland to his band of brothers, the questers who failed one by one before him, may suggest the relation of Browning's to his own poetic precursors, and prefigures the relation between the hero and the cowards in Yeats's death poem, Cuchulainn Comforted. The title is taken from Shakespeare's King Lear, Act 3, Scene 4, line 173. A child is a well-born youth who is still a candidate for knighthood. So the title of this poem is Childe Roland to the Dark Tower Came. Yes, friends, Roland, Dark Tower. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie, on mind and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies and snare all travelers who might find him posted there, and ask the road? I guessed what skull-like laugh would break, what crutched gin write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into that ominous tract which, all agree, hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much as gladness that some end might be. For, what with my whole world-wide wanderings, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made, finding failure in its scope. As when a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end, the tears and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath, freelier outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near the other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about the banners, scarves, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied, so oft been writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to the dark tower's search addressed their steps, that just to fail as they seemed best, and all the doubt was now, should I be fit? So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling to its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its astray. For mark! No sooner was I fairly found pledged to the plain after a pace or two, than pausing to throw backward a last view o'er the safe road, 'twas gone, grey plain all around. Nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I might go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve. For flowers as well expect a cedar grove. But cockle, spurge, according to their law, might propagate their kind, but none to awe. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No, penury, inertness, and grimace, and some strange sort were the land's portions. See, or shut your eyes, said nature peevishly. It nothing skills, I cannot help my case. 'Tis the last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its clods, and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, the head was chopped, the bents were jealous else. What made those holes and rents in the dock's harsh swarth leaves, bruised as to balk all hope of greenness? 'Tis a brute must walk, pushing their life out with a brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scant as hair, and leprosy, thin dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff blind horse, his every bone a stare, stood stupefied, however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive? He might be dead for aught I know, with that red gaunt and collapsed neck astrain, and shut eyes underneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must be wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart, as a man calls for wine before he fights. I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play my part, think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of the old times sets all to rights. So that is the first 15 stanzas of Childe Roland to the Dark Tower came. Let's see, it is a total of 34. So you got a sample of almost half of it. And if it catches your interest, certainly read the rest of it. I know I plan to this afternoon and enjoy some Robert Browning. I like the imagery given of just how barren a wasteland this place is, and how, even a burr would be a treasure trove in all of this lacking of any kind of vegetation, any type of growth surrounding him. That really stuck out to me as I was reading it, and I'm experiencing it the first time just the same as you. So, yeah, thanks for coming back for another Poetry Thursday. Next week I'll do the same thing. I'll just open up to a random page, start reading a random poem, either in whole or in part, and hopefully we enjoy just journeying together through the best poems of the English language by Harold Bloom. And I look forward to all of your Poetry Thursday videos. I'm going to have a link down below. Joanna, one of my favorite channels that I follow, has made her first introduction into Poetry Thursday. So go show her some support. Go listen to her poetry reciting. And let's continue to spread it like wildfire. Because what is poetry good for if not spreading throughout the ranks? If you've watched Dead Poets Society, which is a great film, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you should. But I mean, poetry brings us all together.